Okay, Tittle Tattle episode. Gosh, Bill, I think we're on Tittle Tattle episode 96. And if you don't know what Tittle Tattle is, that's because you're not a supporter over on Locals, Rockfin, or Patreon. It's a media analysis show that Bill and I do every week for supporters only. Today, we're going to do the beginning of it for everybody. But if you want to see the whole show, you got to go over to Locals, Rockfin, or Patreon and become a supporter. Flat out, I'm just going to be real honest with everybody, especially those of you who are still watching on YouTube. I have gone from 113,000 subscribers to 110,000 subscribers officially as of today. They have cut my income about to 5% of what I used to make. If I was relying on YouTube, I would not be doing this anymore. This podcast would have gone the way of the white buffalo a long time ago, as my husband says. And so I'm just letting everybody know that it exists because of supporters, people like Bill who show up without a paycheck, or sometimes a paycheck, a minimal paycheck, that you go buy a beer every once in a while. And because of, the people who are on Locals, Rockfin, and Patreon who are throwing a couple bucks a month in the direction of this podcast. And so thank you to people who are already supporting it. There are lots of ways to support, and there are links in the description of most of the videos for all kinds of products that help me out. Also, sharing the video. If you've got no money left, sharing the video actually does remarkable things for the YouTube algorithm. I think one video that got a lot of shares, we hit almost 15 or 19,000 views. I haven't gotten a video with 15 or 19,000 views relying on YouTube in, I want to say a year. I'll just say months just to be on the side. So share the video if that's all you can do. Okay. Here's the topic for today. Basically, I get a notification in my YouTube studio that says that they have updated their creator ad policies again. And I'm like, okay, what's this one going to be all about? Because I'm pretty used to this happening, but it caught my eye because it's like about sexual abuse. And it's not about demonetization. It's about monetization. It's about how you can make more money now talking about sexual abuse. I thought, well, this is odd, because we just went through this Russell Brand controversy where everybody's talking about Russell Brand and the sexual assault allegations. And now all of a sudden we can talk about this topic they used to demonetize, and now we can make money, which incentivizes people to talk about it. All right, Bill, let's watch this real quick clip.
Today, we're updating our advertiser-friendly content guidelines regarding controversial issues, specifically as they relate to sexual and domestic abuse, abortions, and eating disorders. Specifically, we are allowing creators to earn more ad revenue on content discussing topics such as abortion and adult sexual abuse. This means that content which discusses these topics without going into graphic detail can fully monetize. We know that videos covering topics like these can be a helpful resource to users. So we want to ensure that wherever possible, controversial issues discussed in a non-descriptive and non-graphic way aren't disincentivized through demonetization. We're also keenly aware that some...
I am going to stop it right there, because that's basically the main point. It's that, Bill, they don't want to disincentivize topics because you can't make any money talking about them, which makes me think somebody was like, we want to talk about this topic a lot, and or for whatever reason, somebody wants this topic discussed, whether it's Russell Brand specifically or just generally speaking, sexual assault. And they're like, okay, we're going to let you make money off of it. What do you think about this?
I think the first thing people are going to look at is what is going to happen with the language. And what I mean by that is in many, many videos on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, content creators or podcast hosts, they won't say sexual assault. They'll say this person was SA'd or this person is alleged to have committed SA. Okay. At first, I didn't understand it, and I had to do a little deep dive into it. So now I'll just give you an example, because later today, the Smokes and Road Beers podcast, exclusively on Rumble and Facebook, because they have balls, Seth and I are going to talk a little bit about this topic ourselves. And I wanted to keep our podcast about pop culture, not the culture wars. But now I had a rant because I don't know if you heard, everyone's favorite Miss Body Positivity, Lizzo, who has been accused of sexual misconduct, has now gotten a humanitarian award. But they demonetized Russell Brand over allegations. So I got a whole rant about that one coming up later on our podcast at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Rumble and Facebook. But, I have to rewrite the whole thing now, Allison, because you sent me this and I watched it and I'm like, well, wait a minute. So wait, hold on. Is it because they got pressure from content creators, or they really feel like they're trying to do the right thing? I don't know what it is, but because obviously their biggest content creators, guys like Mr. Beast, Dude Perfect, Logan Paul, they're probably not out there talking about sexual assault, but for some reason now they're going to monetize it. So it's confusing.
Okay, well, this is Bill's podcast. So if everyone's interested in his rant coming up tonight, this is where you find it. It's on Rumble, Smokes and Road Beers podcast. This is what he looks like. And people in the chat are saying Bill has a face because he has apparently moved his microphone. So that's amazing. Okay, this is one of my thoughts on it. And then I'm gonna veer us in one direction, and we'll go back to this. But let me just give you like just straight up like big picture. I think who runs the world now when it comes to this action is like civil organizations of some kind, like the Anti-Defamation League or something, and very very powerful people, I guess, organized into a group with a purpose. And so my guess would be there's some kind of pressure coming from a particular organization with very powerful people that tells YouTube that like, hey, in order to, it's framed the way I truly believe they think, which even if it's demonic, I think they have told themselves somehow that they're doing God's work. Hey, we need to curb sexual assault, so we need to be able to talk about it more. Now, of course, they're not going to let you talk about sexual assault any old way. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to just tell, of course, he said you can't be graphic about it or whatever. But I also believe that it's not like they just want the topic to just run rampant. They're thinking this will incentivize people to talk about it in the way they want it to be discussed. So, like, for instance, they get pressure from the WHO or the UN or whatever when it comes to medical related topics. They're like, well, we want to incentivize people talking about the vaccine, but not one way, only this way. You know what I mean? So that'll come up, I think, at some point in the future. That it's not just like you could just talk about sexual assault in just any old way. I think that there's going to be, restrictions on it at some point. But I just thought the timing of this was like just very, very interesting. Don't forget AllisonWinePromo.com. No updates to the policies for monetization here. It's the same deal, 50% off the wine and 50% off shipping, 100% of an awesome way to support the podcast. If you're already a wine drinker, stop buying boxed wine. Get yourself some good wine that at least is worth the hangover the next day. This is high elevation, extremist elevation wine from Argentina, one from almost 9,000 feet, third highest vineyard in the world, one from the oldest vineyard in Argentina, over 200-year-old vineyard, family farms, no filtration, natural fermentation. It's just great wine. If you're a wine drinker, go get yourself some AllisonWinePromo.com. Makes her a great gift too. If you haven't talked to grandma since you defriended her on Facebook.
Or she blocked you on Twitter.
She blocked you on Twitter. Tell her to just have a drink and let's like get over it. Okay. You can mix it with something good for you. Also, I think it would taste gross, but who am I to judge? If you want to mix it with some fieldofgreens.com, promo code Allison for 15% off your first order, then go do that. This is organic superfood powder. I drink it every day. Take 2 scoops, put it in some water, shake it up. It takes me like 5 sips to drink it all. Whole serving of fruits and vegetables for the day. It's like, I'll just read some of the ingredients. Organic green blend is spinach powder, parsley, kale, barley grass, wheatgrass, spirulina, chlorella, green pepper, green apple, whatever. Okay, I'm just going to go down to the pomegranate for fruits, blueberry, tart cherry, and then it's got like green tea, licorice, ginger, turmeric. It's got a lot of really good stuff in it. And if your garden is being decimated by pests or just your inability to garden like me, it's a great way to get some nutrition. You're going into winter. Go get yourself some fieldofgreens.com, promo code Allison for 15% off your first order. You can always get coffee. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it because I've already taken a million minutes of your time. Bill, okay, before we cut to supporters only, any other like final thoughts?
Not right on point, because I've got a little bit of a spicy take coming up. And if you want to hear that, you're only going to be able to hear that if you are a supporter. So make sure you support Allison's work, do whatever you can, share, like, comment if you have no money. If you have some money, you know, subscribe to Allison's Locals, or, you know, stop buying cheap ass Arbor Mist and Boone's Farm and go get you some good wine. Okay. So
Right.
go. Oh, and there we have this as well. Yes.
Yes, I have my I forgot my travel to the Wise Traditions Foodie Conference, where we got Naomi Wolf, Catherine Austin Fitz, Dr. Tom Cowan are all going to be speakers there. I got a press pass. They are at Green Pasture, one of my sponsors. They are going to be putting me up in a hotel. I just have to pay my way there. If you'd like to go to my Give Send Go, you can go to givesendgo.com/Allison2Wise Tradition. So thank you so much to everybody who's already given over there. It's going to be a huge help to get me there. Really appreciate it. You know, before I cut this, I will just say I think, you know, we could miss it. We could miss the big picture easily when discussing this, because I look at a lot of this stuff as systemic, in the sense that you could just focus on Russell Brand and they're just like trying to get Russell Brand or whatever.
Right.
You know, I think frankly the bigger picture to take away here is that they can tweak all these kinds of policies based on what they want us to talk about. And so I think we should all be very aware, me included, Bill included, everybody, that when we feel incentivized in some way, whether it's just that everybody's talking about it, or, hey, we could make a lot of money talking about this, or whatever, I think it's worthwhile to sit back and go, why now? Or like, why are we talking about this? Or why is this getting incentivized? And who's behind this? And it just shows that there are puppeteers that pull the strings depending on how they want the direction of conversation to go. That a lot of the stuff we're talking about is not organically coming to the surface. You know, it's curated by people who want us to be bickering or fighting or, you know, complaining or whatever about a particular topic and in a particular way. So just be vigilant about that. You know, I think it's just worth being vigilant about. Okay, Bill, does that sound okay?
I agree.
Okay. We'll see everybody on Locals.